Where are they now? Wednesdays. Bearcat Hoop head coach Kip Ione here with another of our past players, catching up with their lives, their careers, what they've got going on since everyone last saw them in the Cardinal and Gold and Cone Fieldhouse. Today we got a great guest. A lot of you remember him, number 3, making threes, falling down all over the place for us, taking charges. Joseph Jackson, Hillsboro, Oregon, is back with us. JoJo, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. Doing really good.
So, Joe, I think you've got one of the more interesting stories for people out there to kind of find out about. So, take us from most of the people probably saw you, and you and Kyle McNally that we had on previously are a great test case for this because your guys' last game at Cone was a playoff win over Pacific that got us into the semifinals. So, people last saw you guys doing that accomplishment. Now go through graduation and all the places Joe Jackson's been because there's been a lot of them.
Right. Yeah. That was a great senior night. That senior night was more than just a last game of the season. It meant a lot more for us seniors and obviously the rest of the Bearcat family.
Yep.
And just coming out, with that win and stuff. Obviously, again, just meant more for us seniors and stuff. So that was a great win, great season there. And then after graduation, graduated in, what was that, May of 2015. That following August, went to Japan and was there for 2 years teaching English. And I was, a lot of people, they know, Tokyo and Osaka, but I was out in the countryside about 7 hours west of Tokyo and 4 hours north of Osaka. Just one train line. If you miss it, you're done for the next hour. One train per hour. So, if you did miss it, it would mess up your whole day, kind of thing. But I learned a lot through that. Was there for 2 years.
How did you get hooked up with? Sorry to cut you off, but how did you get hooked up with that? I know a lot of people that listen, especially if it's recruits or their families, they see the Sky Bridge headed over to Kaneko, and I tell them there's a pool over there, but there's obviously a lot more going on. So kind of give us the background on how you ended up there teaching English.
Yeah, exactly. So my sophomore year, I had a ASP, which is American Studies Program student. So Willamette has like 150 about Japanese students that come over and study at Tokyo International University of America, which is across the Sky Bridge where the pool is at and all. And so I had one of those students as my roommates, and then that kind of just snowballed into more involvement in the TIUA program. And so one year, I think it was just before my senior year, the summer before my senior year, I was working very extensively with that program with the Japanese students as they were here, kind of as an RA position. And so the supervisors over there, Masaki and Barbie Dressler and Gunnarsson and all those guys, they were like, hey, you want to be a teacher? You've always wanted to go to Japan. Why don't you apply for the Japanese Exchange Teaching Program, JET program? So I was like, yeah, I don't have any set plans after graduation. I was either going to move back to Texas with my brother or find some stuff here around Portland. So I applied to it. A couple stages of the application process went by, and spring break of my senior year, got a letter in the mail that said I was going to Japan that following summer. So and that's how that kind of happened.
What was your mindset? I mean, because you've always been, a very outgoing guy, could exist in any type of group of kids. One of our favorite recruits, just because of your bubbly personality. Did you mask nervousness? Because when I talked to you, you were jazzed up, ready to go. But my goodness, I know you didn't speak the language when you went over there, and like you like you said, you've got family in different parts of the country, but I'm assuming you hadn't been a lot of world traveling before you decided to move across the Pacific Ocean. So just kind of take us through a little bit of just your mindset approaching that amazing opportunity.
Right. No, that's completely true. When I got the letter, it didn't really fully set in. I was like, oh, cool, yeah, I'm going to be going to Japan next year kind of thing.
Yeah.
Called my parents, called my dad and stuff, and I think they were kind of in the same mindset because, coming from a homeschool background, I was always with my family, always with my parents. Family just, aside from the homeschool part, was always a big thing for us. And so this was my first chance to leave everything I knew and everyone that I knew. So leading up to it, I didn't know what to expect or what things were going to be like, but I've always had and always try to have a positive outlook on things. So I'm like, no, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun, and so I think that's what the mask of my nervousness
Gotcha.
was
Yeah.
the positivity.
Right.
But then definitely, the week before, I'm like, whoa, next week I'm going to Japan, and I can either love it or hate it because the contracts are rolling there. So you sign a contract for the first year, and then they ask you, do you want to sign for a second year, and then a third year, fourth year, and so on. So 5 years max.
Yeah.
You can do. But yeah, definitely the day before, and I didn't sleep that night, and then went to the airport, and you have all these other people from across Oregon, and this general Northwest area there at the airport. I think there's like about between 50 and 70 of us flying out of Portland.
Holy cow.
Airport. And, none of them even
right.
within that cohort, so to speak. And then we're in the air, and, you're kind of in the air, and you're looking at the screen on your back of the seat, and you see that you're halfway across the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, this is real.
Yeah.
And then you land, and then that's when it really started to kind of take full force of the nervousness when you land and just see everything that is very different, but there's some similarity to it at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
And then the humidity of it is what really hit me. It reminded me of Texas a lot.
Okay.
So that part of it is like, all right, I'm kind of familiar with
Yeah.
this. It's a lot more humid than Texas, but I was more accustomed to it than some of the other people in my
And from
cohort.
following you, and before we let you go at the end of the interview, I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to know how to follow you on social media, because you are a fun follow. But your time over there, I mean, it looked like you were in between teaching, traveling, playing on a team over there on the basketball court, coaching over there. What did a day look like for you over there?
A day over there, once I finally kind of got into the flow of things, was I was there at school probably about 7:45, 8, and then our first class was at 9:10. And so on my busiest days, there would be 5 periods out of 6 that I was teaching. And so you go in the classroom, and what was great about my school, my supervisor, is that I wasn't just a human recorder.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the other people, they just kind of step up and say the words in English, the kids repeat after them, and that's about it. But he really allowed just me to be free in the classroom, just joke around with the kids. He and I were very similar in a lot of respects, so that was very easy for us to do that. And so I did that probably 5 out of 6 periods. And then come about 3 o'clock is when we would go into the gym, and we would have basketball practice for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. When I first got there, they were doing it 2.5, almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, that's a little too long. So I think just with a little talking through it, so we cut it down to 2 hours max.
Right. Hey, did I spoil? I see Coach Kip might have spoiled you there, giving you only 2 hours of practice at Willamette.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what I went back to. I was like, hey, even when I was in college, we only did maybe an hour on some days. We don't need to do this 3-hour stuff.
Right.
So that kind of, tried to persuade them that way, and it took a little bit, but finally we got down to 2 hours of just, intensive stuff, very purposeful drills and things like that. And then 5 o'clock hit, and after that, go to the grocery store, get my stuff for dinner, go back home, and depending on the night, sometimes I go hang out with some of the people that was close to me.
Yeah.
But I got to know there was a girl, Janelle Ware from Jamaica, that was probably about a 10, maybe 15-minute bike ride down from me. So we would go and watch Netflix there, or maybe have a game night, or we'd make dinner together there. There's another gentleman from Colorado, Adam Johnson, and he was he lived closer to me at one point than she did. So again, we would just all kind of hang out over there.
Was the language barrier, the food differences, what was the toughest thing to assimilate's the wrong word, but get used to, but maybe something at the same time you ended up really enjoying about the culture over there?
It was definitely the language.
Okay.
Food has never been a problem for me. I mean, I've tried the octopus, the eel, the squid, like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I think it was the squid is the one that I tasted. I was like, nah, I'm gonna stay away from that. But that was a good. I'm glad I tried it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So, but it was the language. Just
Okay.
going over only knowing like 2 or 3 words and learning 2 or 3 more on the plane ride over. That I constantly had to ask people next to me, like, what is this again in Japanese?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that go over there watch the anime or very involved in Japanese culture here in America, and then just kind of going over to Japan to play it out, so to speak. But I had no experience. I hadn't watched a single episode of anime. Like I said, I learned a couple words here and there just from the Japanese students at Willamette that I worked with.
Yeah.
So that was probably the hardest part. But what was great about it was that every other week, the students in my class were learning about 20 different English words.
Oh,
and so I would have my supervisor write down those words in Romanji. And Romanji is just like the alphabet, the word spelled out like in the alphabet.
Okay.
So, if it's Mizu, which is water, it's spelled out M-I-Z-U.
Okay.
And so I would learn those 20 words in Japanese, but alongside with my students.
Yeah.
So they would hear me mess up, and
they
would just start dying laughing and stuff. I'm like, all right, your turn.
Yeah.
And they would say a word, and I start laughing at them. And it was a great way to just kind of break the ice of learning. Because Japanese students are very, very shy, and they're afraid. And Japanese culture, they're afraid to make a mistake. They want to perfect everything. That's just part of the culture.
Yeah.
And so with the students, they don't want to say a word wrong. Some of the students didn't really care because they're like, whatever, I'm never using English after this class kind of thing.
Right.
But others that really took academics seriously and things like that, they're like, I don't want to make a mistake. But once they kind of saw that on my side, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try it, and y'all can help me out. Kind of thing. And it really integrated that exchange part of the Japanese exchange teaching program.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun, and which I really enjoyed. After classes and stuff, going to different festivals and events and things like that, and kind of being able to use those words here and there sparingly as I could. So
what part, because we could go for an hour with that amazing experience, but I want to make sure people know what you're doing now as well.
Sure.
But what part of either your athletic just background, doesn't have to be just, because I played for Willamette, but just you growing up as an athlete, or was it something you learned in undergrad, going to school? What did you rely on in that experience? Was it, being able to exist on a team? Was it specifically something from your major? What was the biggest, hey, you know what? I have this tool from this that's helped me over here.
Right. Probably just the planning part of things.
Okay.
Just from the school aspect of being a student athlete, of not just waking up and being like, all right, well, I got to get this done today, and figuring out how it's going to work throughout the day. No, the day before, the week before, knowing exactly how it's going to fit into that day.
Yeah.
That probably helped me a lot. And then even Japan too, of trying to figure out train times and trying to figure out, okay, when do I need to get there? What do I need to do here? Helping with lesson plans here and there as I could.
Yeah.
And then time management, I think kind of is the big umbrella over all of it. Just with, as you know very directly, with my sophomore year, which I speak to a lot now, with working with students and things like that. It wasn't necessarily a lack of effort, but just not putting effort in the right places.
Right.
With my sophomore year, and then it leading to me being academically ineligible the second half of my sophomore year, and then just learning from that of how to kind of plan out a day, plan out a week, plan out a month, looking forward of okay, what am I going to do now to build towards that? And so even now, my fiance now kind of she's like, all right, let's just deal with today. I'm like, yeah, but if I do this, and a month from now, 2 months from now, then we'll be able to do she's like, all right, that's great, but let's just take a day at a time.
Right.
It really has.
Hey, that's a good balance though. You know what I mean? That's a good balance.
Exactly. It is. So, and I have some of that too, but definitely just with my experiences with school and with the travel and all, the planning part of me has come out a lot more since I've graduated.
And for those of everybody listening, Joe's always been very forthright, and one of the things I really appreciate about him is he's come back and talked to players that have come after him about struggles he had with exactly what he said, just managing his time as a student athlete, but also being able to learn from that and end up graduating from Willamette and doing the great things he is now. The great thing about Joe is he's willing to tell anybody, hey, I messed up. Here's how to avoid doing what I did and how I got out of it. Joe, tell everybody what you're doing now. You're basically on the Bearcat bench north of Lincoln High School. You're getting married. Give us a up-to-date Joe Jackson.
All right. Yeah, after I came back from Japan, it's been just over a year since I've been back in Japan. I was a fourth grade teaching assistant at Catlin Gable here in Portland, Oregon. Last year, and then we're moving up with him to fifth grade this year.
Okay.
So I'll be the fifth grade teaching assistant this year. We're in the talks right now of doing kind of a model program through Catlin Gable with getting my master's through PSU. So it's going to be kind of a partnership of getting my master's there. Then I'm also a varsity assistant at Lincoln High School under Pat Adelman, who was an assistant at Willamette with you. I think that was my
sophomore?
Sophomore?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm with him there, and then also going to be the freshman coach this coming year for Lincoln. I'm working with Team Fly, which is AAU program during the summers and springs, which that just started this past spring. Great experience, definitely different from high school ball, but it's gives me a great outlook just on the game itself and all the background stuff. And then just right now, I just got engaged this past May, and we went and looked at a venue today.
There you go. You better start saying a lot of yep, sure, sounds good.
Exactly. And so we're looking next August 2019 is when the wedding date will be. So that's pretty much.
Things are going great, man. Very impressed with with everything. Very proud of you. We're all putting yourself out there in so many different aspects of your life since Willamette, and that's one thing that we love when these where are they now moments is guys that most people would remember as this points per game or this many shots. Obviously, as a coach, I'm lucky enough to have better relationships with guys and know all these amazing things you guys are doing, and we thank you for coming on and sharing, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, where can people follow you and all the stuff you're doing?
Yeah, Instagram and Twitter is J_Jackson77. That's for both Instagram and Twitter. And then on Facebook is just Joseph Jackson. So.
Excellent. And anytime the Bearcats post, Joe gives us a like, so you can find him. He's loyal.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I remember that username.
Exactly, right? There he is. Hey, Joe Jackson, Bearcat Hoop, where are they now? Thanks, man.
No problem. Thank you.